I don't plan more than about 2 weeks in advance usually, except for like overall plans. My basic plan is a couple like little places in Europe. I just got some offers for like Slovenia and stuff, which honestly I've been planning to work with for about 6 months now. So I'm like, great, it's finally coming to fruition. And then my next big plan is to set up a home base in Chiang Mai and get more of Southeast Asia visited.
Meet Palle Bo, a digital nomad from Denmark on an epic journey around the world. This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
You'll get an extra episode here in between the two seasons, between North America and Africa. And right now I'm in London at the World Travel Market, or WTM as they call it. And this is a gigantic fair for the travel industry. On one side of a corridor, there's all of Europe, every country in Europe, or almost every country in Europe. And then there's a lot of companies working in the travel industry in one end of that hall. In the hall that I'm in right now, we have in this end all of South America and Latin America, and then we have the Middle East and Africa and Asia. And some of the stands are really, really spectacular. I'm standing right outside of Costa Rica's stand, which is decorated with a lot of palm trees, and it's very, very beautiful made. And sometimes you can hear music and dancing, and people see people in the local costumes. And right next to it is Mexico, and on the other side we have Peru and Colombia, and it's very well done. When I move all the way down to the Middle East and see Abu Dhabi stand, and Dubai and Saudi Arabia is even represented. They have the money, so their stands are spectacular. It's you can really see that they put a lot of money into it. And also there's an area with the media and the travel influencers. And just a few minutes ago, I sat down with a travel blogger who's been traveling a little bit longer than me. His name is, well, why don't we let him introduce himself?
Sure. So my name is Skye Class. I write the travel blog Skye Travels, which I started almost 4 years ago. I bought a one-way ticket from Los Angeles to London, and I've been traveling ever since.
Yeah, your story is a bit like mine. You've been doing it a little bit longer than me, but it's quite similar in terms of travel. But then you come from all over the place, really.
Yeah. I mean, I was born in Beverly Hills. I can only say I was there for about 3 days. And
in the shadow of the Hollywood sign.
Pretty much, yeah. I did spend a few years working in Hollywood in various jobs. I was a teacher there. But growing up, I mean, I lived in 20 different places by the time I was 14 and moved out on my own. And then really 4 years ago, I looked at what I was doing, what I wanted to do, and it came down to I wanted to travel, I wanted to write, and my forte was computers. So I put the three together and I went, well, I need to become a travel blogger. So I did a lot of research. I actually did Nomadic Matt's online course, and just, which really covers the basics, how to put the blog there, how to do the basic marketing, nothing special. I've basically spent the past 4 years just constantly learning new things and, seeing what I'm doing as I go along.
So where has the traveling taken you?
I'd actually have to say my first year was the wildest part. I went through 35 countries just my first year of travel. And it's actually interesting. I'm actually in the middle of writing an ebook right now because a lot of people would say that was too much. You can't go through that many countries and enjoy them. I beg to differ. I would see a country in 2 days and, I can't say I'd see the country. I would be in the country for 2 days. And yeah, I want to go back and spend more time in those countries, but I'd rather have done that than not see the countries at all. So for people who are sitting in America who have never left, their hometown, yeah, get out for a weekend on your, a 3-week vacation. Get out to, Paris or, Tallinn, Estonia, somewhere you've never heard of, and just see something new, even if it's only for 3 days. And, it was a great trip. And now I have slowed down quite a bit.
Well, the way I did it, because the first 2 years, I think if I count the countries that I revisited, some of the European countries and the US, and I think I did 65 countries and territories, and that sounds like a lot, but sometimes I move fast, and then I slow down. And then I move fast again. It's like an interval sprint that sometimes it's fast, and then okay, now I need to slow down. Not because I get physically tired, but it's more like I need to absorb what I've seen and get my hunger back, because it will be a crime if I am in a beautiful landscape in New Zealand and a waterfall over here and I say, yeah, that's nice, I've seen something similar, and I just have to move on. But that would be a crime. So for me to stay hungry, I move fast and then I slow down and then I move fast again. But I could easily see myself in a year or two where I slow a lot more down. Mm-hmm. But right now I have the hunger to see stuff.
Yeah, I definitely can, understand that, because especially my first year, I'd go for about 2 months. In fact, 1 month was 13 countries. And then, after about 2 months, I go, okay, I need to recuperate really not physically, but just I would go to a hostel or something for about 2 weeks and just catch up on all the stories.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, my first travel convention I went to in Bangkok in 2015, I was talking to some of the more long-term bloggers, and they went, being a travel blogger is almost an oxymoron, because you've got enough time to travel, or you've got enough time to blog, but you really don't have enough time to do both.
No. And actually, in a week into my travel, I met Nomadic Matt, now that you mentioned him, and we met at T-Bex in Stockholm, and he said, make sure that you don't move too fast, because you have to work as well, and you didn't go to India to sit behind the computer all the time.
When you first start out, you don't have burnout, right? But as, year 1 leads to year 2 leads to 3 to 4, you're going to be like, oh, man, I got to pack my bag again. So your travels will naturally slow down. But, if you're going to blog and travel at the same time, you're going to have to go slow, just because you're going to have to work a lot when you travel. But create a schedule so you sort of split the two, because you didn't go all the way to India to sit in front of your computer for 3 days, right? So you're going to have to take work breaks so you can actually enjoy the destination you're at.
I've gotten into house sitting as well, so I've done some house sits in the middle of nowhere, in Natchez, Mississippi, in High Point, North Carolina, and I just did one in outside of Lockhart, Texas. It's south of Austin, but not even in Lockhart, which is a small town. It was in the countryside, but I just had a nice place with good Wi-Fi, and I could just catch up on editing my stuff and doing some work and getting the hunger back.
Yeah, I also have done that. About once a year, I'll spend a couple months house sitting. Last year was 5 weeks in Brighton and then 6 weeks of all places on the Isle of Skye.
That's perfect for you, right?
Yeah, I've been there now at least a dozen times. It's my namesake. So, and this one I really lucked out. I did have a bit of a misfortune where they said, our house is extremely remote. You need to have a car. So I bought a very cheap car off of Gumtree. Oh. Too cheap. It broke down after about 3 weeks, which was a week into the house sit.
Okay. You couldn't rent one?
Not feasibly. I mean, the prices, even if I was to, I could probably have rented one from Edinburgh and driven it up there, but I was at the house sit for 6 weeks, so that would have run into the hundreds of dollars. So I ended up just hitchhiking all around the island, and I virtually met all of the neighbors in that region of the island. Knew them all by name and got some great stories. Yeah. I would say, I'm a travel writer, and they go, oh, you're our number one enemy here. And I'd say, yeah, my next story is going to be how tourism is destroying the Isle of Skye. And they go, oh, actually, you're our new best friend. You look at, this is almost off topic, but you look at farmers who are literally trying to shoo humans away from defecating on their land, or taking photos of them as farmers, as the indigenous locals. And it's like, no, this is not what tourism is about.
So how do you get into a new country? What do you look for when you get to a new place?
It's funny you say that because a lot of times I don't. I want to go in from almost like a virgin aspect of like, what's new? You know, I want to go meet a local and just, you know, go couch surfing and say, hey, what's unique here that you like to do? You know, going down to Cyprus and couch surfing there and being brought up to some tiny little village that has one little restaurant in it that's never seen a tourist in their lives. You know, and they see me and they're like, oh my God, you know, who's this guy? Where are you from? What's this? A tourism? What does that mean? You know, and getting to try this sample dish, which is just everything they've had cooking for that day. They just throw on a dish and give it to me, and it's like, I have never had food like that in my life. You know, except that I've had it every time I go to a new place like that. You know, it's not a tourist restaurant. You don't have anyone out front. They don't have they kind of have a menu, but you know, nothing's in English. You know, the best menus are the ones that just change day to day because it's just what they decide to cook that day. That's what I enjoy about travel. You know, and I do have to balance it out with my job, you know, making some money. So I do.
Yeah, that was my next question. What is your job?
My job is travel writing. I also teach English, especially when I'm in. I stumble on that. Of all things to stumble on. But yeah, you know, especially when I go down to Southeast Asia, I'll work at a school or something there. Like I said, I was a teacher in Hollywood for a while. I do have a TEFL degree, so teaching English in some countries. I am also certified as a massage therapist. I trained at the temples in Thailand. Oh, wow. So sometimes I'll, you know, just post in a hostel going, hey, you know, I've got 2 slots for each night. I know, depending on my country. And if I'm in England, it's £50 for the night. If I'm in Romania, it's €25 for the night. You know, it just, I base my prices on the country I'm visiting. I do also house sitting. I sometimes charge for dog sitting where I go. I did that in Romania for 4 days last year and made £300 or €300, which happens to be the monthly minimum wage in the country. Just odd jobs here and there. And I unfortunately, I've kind of had to vet some of my jobs because I'll have other, you know, fellow bloggers go, oh, hey, can you come help me in the summer? And they're not businessmen. You know, and I had a rather horrible experience this summer where, you know, they said, oh, can you come out and help me for 6 weeks? I went, yeah, that's my summer. That's, you know, my main travel dates. Okay, fine. You know, I can do this, but I am going to have to do this as a business. You know, you've got 5 Airbnbs that I can clean for you in exchange for, you know, payment of the, you know, the cleaning fee. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, well, yeah, these are the dates, 6 weeks. And this was arranged in February, and I show up in, I don't know, around May. They go, oh, can you stay into September? You know, I'm going, okay, a couple weeks extra. I'll see if I can swing that. You know, I show up, the day I show up, so you're staying to the end of September, right? No. We agreed into September, like, I'm thinking, you know, 1st or 2nd September. No, we need you until September 25th. No, I can't do that. So I rearranged my travel plans, and okay, this will work. And then I'm just about to go to T-Bex in Ostrava. The day I'm leaving, oh, by the way, we don't need you to come back for August. Oh, okay. Okay. That's a shock. That's a little last minute. So you're not planning to pay me for any of the jobs in August? No, we got that all covered. Okay. I'll rearrange everything. So I was like, great, this will open up all my opportunities. I've just met the tourism board for the Czech Republic. I got some great tours. Halfway through the convention, they call me up. We need you to work August. I'm sorry, no. 8 times you've changed, you know. Yeah.
So where was that?
That was in the Netherlands. And, you know, for their privacy, I won't mention who they were. No. You know, it's just kind of learning, like, you do have to, and, you know, it gets into, you know, travel bloggers. You get some companies that go, oh, yeah, you know, if you can write us, you know, 10 articles and do 2 hours of vlogging and, you know, 20 posts on social media a day, we'll give you a 20% discount on a $5,000 package. I go, no. I'm sorry. No. My price is $200 an article, and you know, we'll work it out on the social media from there. You know, we can get you a good package. You know, some places understand our jobs, but like, this is my job. You know, I spend hours a day working on my photos and writing and research and all that kind of stuff. And like I said earlier, you have enough time to blog or to travel. They're both full-time jobs. And I can't take a vacation anymore because I don't go to a location and not take, I can't say a couple dozen photos. I can't not take a few hundred photos. It's just what I do, and then I feature it in the magazines I write for or whatever. Even if I'm not getting, paid to take those photos at the time, I'm going to use that content later on.
So I spoke a lot to Mike Oxley from the Bermuda Backpacker about this. Do you feel that a lot of travel bloggers or influencers are just doing too much for a free trip?
Yes, absolutely. And it makes it much more difficult for those who realize that it's a business. Granted, you have the mega influencers in Hollywood that have 10 million followers and are honestly getting paid $100,000 for a single post on Instagram, but they've got their agents to handle that for them. And they have companies coming to them, going, please let us give you $100,000 for a single post. I wouldn't call myself a new blogger. I've got 50,000 followers, but at the same time, there are bloggers who are going. There aren't a lot of bloggers who have 50,000 followers who are willing to do things for free. No. I'm not going to say I'm in getting mixed up, but there are just influencers who work for free, or work for $5 a post or something, or a 10% discount, and I'm not going to disparage them because, yes, we all started there. Be willing to work for free when you first get started. That's where you're going to get your name out there, and you're going to get your DA score higher, and your contacts and things like. Yes, we all start from scratch. I did.
Do you think the industry is going to sort of grow up, and should we unionize, or
definitely not unionize? But yeah, that's why I say I'm not going to target. Just say it's the bloggers, but it's both sides have their learning curve. Bloggers start free or cheap or whatever, and then look at what you're worth as you get bigger, and the industry needs to look at who they're dealing with. If you're a brand new blogger, hey, if you run a hotel with 900 rooms, be willing to give a new blogger a room for a night or two. Maybe throw in a dinner for them. If you're a resort and you charge $800 for a room, and you're working with a blogger who charges $200 for an article, there's going to be this middle ground for both sides. I've been on press trips where I'm getting more than I can imagine thrown at me. I'm going, God, what can I do to compensate my services for what I'm getting? At the same time, I've been on offered stuff. I'm going, yeah, they're expecting what from me for this? This is a $15 train ticket, and they want this list of services. I'm like, I don't feel good about this.
No. And I can take anything you can throw at me, and nothing can get me down. Life is looking so bright, the sun is up again. I'm feeling like I could fly. No clouds in my way, no. And I'm living the good life. And I'm living the good life now. I'm living the good life, and nothing can get me down, no.
This episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best prices on hotels and guest houses and hostels around the world. Hotels25.com, best price guaranteed. We're here at World Travel Market at WTM. Is this your first, or do you come here every year?
This is my first WTM, and I don't know how it is because I've been in the area now the last 2 years that this has been going on, and I just didn't realize the value of this. In terms of travel conventions, I've been to half a dozen major ones, and I don't know how many small ones, little groups here and there. Online, I'm in, I don't know how many dozens, if not hundreds of Facebook groups, tons of networking every day. And, yeah, I mean, this is huge. And a lot of bloggers say, they go to this and they're overwhelmed. I used to help put on events like this in Hollywood, and I go, I'm in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
80,000 people, whatever it is. Finally.
Yeah. So did you manage to make some good connections here, or something that will pan out, or did you even strike some deals?
Yeah, no, I've on one sense you could say it's fortuitous, to have everyone here for me to work with. On the other hand, some places that I've struggled to work with in the past, and I work with them here, and they're like, no, it's not what we do. And I go, okay, good, now I understand. You don't. Whether it's, I'm not going to disparage them and go, hey, you don't work with influencers. Some guys, that's just not their market. And I go, fine. Yeah. It's like, in some places, I walk up to them, I go, hey, how long are you booked for? Your hotels, what's your occupancy? And like, we're booked for six months in advance. I go, good. I'm not going to even try to work with you. You're not my market. I want to go to a place that's a virgin territory. And if I want to promote London, I want to promote it on my terms. Mm-hmm. I just went and saw Wicked on Monday and just published my article about seeing shows in the West End. Is that something that needs to be promoted? Kind of, yeah. Most people don't think about West End as their number one attraction in London. They're thinking of Buckingham Palace and London Eye and, maybe a Thames River cruise. Probably not, but, things like that. And so, yeah, I think my readers would kind of think of West End as something unique to do in London. Yeah. But I probably wouldn't work with partners in London. I managed to. I actually got a great company that wanted to work with me on this one, so great.
Yeah. So I'm sure that we'll bump into each other again along the way. We tend to do that all the time. So where's the traveling taking you, say, the next year?
Next trip, I'm going down to Morocco on Saturday. I'll be there for 12 days. And then just kind of passing through London and Edinburgh, probably on my way to France. I don't plan more than about 2 weeks in advance usually, except for like overall plans. My basic plan is a couple like little places in Europe. I just got some offers for like Slovenia and stuff, which honestly I've been planning to work with for about 6 months now. So I'm like, great, it's finally coming to fruition. And then my next big plan is to set up a home base in Chiang Mai and get more of Southeast Asia visited. We'll see how that pans out.
Chiang Mai is a good place. That's one of the places I stayed the longest. I was there a month, and it's really a nice hub.
Oh yeah, I lived there 4 months last year actually.
So. Let's finish off with how do people find you, and what can people expect when they go to your blog?
All right. All my social media tags is Skye Travels, SKYE, like the Isle of Skye. And I really try to focus on adventure travel, usually off the beaten path, but not, it doesn't have to be. I'm also a foodie because I just love food. And also wellness. Like I said, I'm a massage therapist, so I look at spas and things like that when I travel. But I don't restrict myself to, that kind of niche. I will write anything that suits my fancy.
Speaking of food, it's almost lunchtime,
yes.
So where do you say we're going?
I'm going headed to Greece today.
You're heading to Greece. And then we went to Greece. We went to the Greek booth and was served some very nice tzatziki and other Greek specialties. All part of the Greek tourist department's way of attracting people to their booth. At the moment, I'm working hard on editing some of the stuff for the next season that's coming from Africa. I've got literally almost hundreds of hours of recordings from not only northwestern Africa, but also Ethiopia and the southern part of Africa. And if I may say so myself, there's some interesting stuff coming your way. But in the meantime, I'm working on it and you're waiting for it, I've decided to give you some flashbacks from the first couple of years of traveling. There's more than 100 episodes out there, and it can seem quite overwhelming to start listening to everything. So in the next couple of weeks, I have handpicked some episodes that I will give you. We'll call them flashbacks. I hope that you will find it interesting. My name is Palabo. See ya.